Hi everybody, welcome to #LockDown. This is Pastor T.
And Pastor G. Listen, we are on a day 3 of our devotions. Let me start right here. Guys, please, let's stay in our homes and flatten the curve of this pandemic that we are facing.
Yes, this is so true. I mean, this time, if anything, it has, allowed me to realize that people in our lives are a gift from God. So appreciate the people that you have. This is a time to really appreciate life.
All right, so let's get to it. Today we are talking about in-between faith. We're extracting it from the situation of the children of Israel when they were leaving Egypt and going to the promised land. Yeah. There was this season that they went through where we all know that they didn't do well in that time, because then a journey that was supposed to take them about a couple of days, it ended up becoming 40 years. Or rather, a situation where we have prayed to God and now are waiting to receive an answer. So we really want to address that in-between season. It is signified by dryness, it is signified by loneliness, it is signified by just a lot of waiting, it is signified by a lot of strange silence and confusion.
Yeah. And see, the thing about this waiting period is that it is so delicate that if you miss it, you might mess up your destiny.
Wow.
If you do not pay attention, you might screw things over. You might actually just, ruin things for yourself.
Sure.
It is quite crucial that in this in-between, you pay attention to what God is saying.
Wow. All right. So let us not waste time and get to it. What do we do when we get to this in-between faith situation? What do we do when we have prayed and now are just waiting for God to give us an answer? I think we have 3 things that we really believe that you can try in your life and see God do amazing things in your life. The first one is this one, child of God, that you have to understand that in this season you have to be okay with not knowing.
Sure.
Start becoming comfortable with not knowing. All right, start becoming comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing. Unfortunately, we are living in a time in this generation where we have so much information. It's all over the place, and there was just a buffet of knowledge, and as a result, people know everything, but they don't know one thing that will ultimately change their lives. And that is why in our generation there was a lack of commitment, because we want God to panic. Let me say this right to you: God is not panicking. God is not moved by what's going on. Let us not think that God is trying to figure out a solution for what's going on. God is not surprised. There is no suddenly in God.
No.
God will not be shaken. Even if we are shaking ourselves when we're making prayers, that as if like we are in a panic and we want Him to come back with a solution, God is not panicking. And here is the thing: it's because He already has got the plan. And I think that is mind-blowing about God, that He knows everything and He is an all-knowing God, and He is the beginning and the end of all sorts of knowledge. So what are we saying? We're saying that you need to be comfortable with not knowing, because that is an art of God. It's a character of God for Him, that the Bible says that in the book of Proverbs 25, that it is the glory of the Lord to conceal a matter, but the glory of man to search out a matter. So you need to start being comfortable in your life, not knowing, and trying to lean in the understanding of God, of who He is.
Sure. And you know what the thing is about knowing? It's that it puts you in a box. It puts you in a space where you are channeled, you are constrained, there are boundaries all around you. It limits you actually, because now you have a set structure. You have an equation that will lead you on how to get to the answer. It paves you to get to the destiny. It says this is the destiny and this is the steps that you need to take.
Wow.
But what does that? It kills creativity. It kills freedom. But the lovely thing that you just mentioned now about not knowing is that it puts you in a place where you are in a completely place where you are relying on God. It puts you in a place where and it opens you up to a place where there is infinite solutions.
Wow.
In over and above limitless solutions. So it puts you in a place where you need to rely on God. It pushes you to build a relationship with Him, because you need to constantly go back to Him to have that constant fellowship with God, constant consultation to say, how do I get from A to B? Because like you said, God only reveals A and C, but what happens to B, it's a mystery.
Sure. And the second point that we want to talk to you today is the art of waiting. You have got to be able to wait in this season. Listen, most of the time, the things that we're asking God for, they've got three things that are embedded in them: time, maturity, and God's will. time, maturity, and God's will. You can be asking for something that is for a particular time and not for this time that you are in. No matter how many times you pray, right? If the time is not or rather the season for that thing, it's a fruitless prayer, and all those things. And also, the maturity is very important, because sometimes the things that we're asking for, we don't have the mental capacity to can handle them. That even though we get them, they will frustrate us and put us into depression because we don't have the mental capacity for them. And the other aspect is that, is it God's will for you to be getting that thing that you're praying for? Because here's the thing: if it's not God's will, you will pay for it. But if it's God's will, the Bible in the book of Romans chapter 12 verse 2, it says that God's will is pleasing, it's perfect, and it's good. So God will give you that based on those aspects that I'm talking about.
That is true. And you see, in it, waiting is a position.
Okay.
Waiting is a position. The Bible says that, be still and know that I am God. Waiting is a position. It shows that you are relying on God. It shows that you are saying, I am letting go and take control over this situation. And it's very hard to wait on the Lord. It is because we do not know. And I think it also emphasized that not knowing, it's a fertile soil because you do not know. But in not knowing, you are able to wait for God to put his hands on a thing, to steer a ship in a direction that he needs it to go. But for that to happen, you need to wait on him. You need to be still and allow him to speak. You need to be attentive in the waiting. Another thing, aspect in waiting is that it requires patience.
All right.
The Bible says that in the book of Isaiah 40:31, that those that wait upon the Lord, their strength shall be renewed. Another aspect to it is that God renews our strength while we wait. He shows us how to get to our destinies. He says that you will mount up with wings like eagle. He shows you that your wings can actually stretch out and take you to your destiny. He shows you your potential. He shows you your capabilities. That, listen, do not look at your circumstances, look at where I am setting you. You can reach where, if you wait on me, I can stretch you enough to reach your destiny.
The other thing about it is from the book of Psalm 27 verse 14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. And I want to speak about the idea of the posture of your heart. Sometimes when we are asking, where the position where we are asking from is not a good one, the process of waiting allows for your heart to be circumcised, so that wherever position you are asking from, your heart can be put in right and be put in place. Sometimes the things that we ask for, our heart was not in the right place. So God puts us in the season of waiting so that our hearts can be circumcised, so that suddenly we can realize that what we are asking for was never even good for us in the first place, or that should we get them, we will become abusive. There are people who are blessed, but they don't know how to treat other people. Their hearts are not right. They have got all these things, but their hearts are not in the right place. The season of waiting, or the in-between phase, allows your heart to be circumcised. And I would like to think it's a season of pruning as well. And so that's the other point that we wanted to drive to you across today. But the last point that we have is that you need to trust in the Lord. You need to trust in the Lord. I know you've heard this over and over again and everything, but man, David puts it so beautifully, the idea of trusting the Lord. In the book of Psalm 125 verse 1, he says that those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be shaken but endures forever. I think two things I can take out from that is the fact that when you're trusting in God, you will not be moved by anything, like Mount Zion. But the second thing is that it says that it will endure forever. The season of in between allows that you may have endurance. God will give you endurance even when you are waiting. Can you imagine that you are waiting on him, yet he gives you the endurance to wait on him. So you're not waiting on your own strength, you are waiting on the endurance given by the God. The book of Jeremiah 17 puts it this way in verse 7. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like tree planted by the water. That's the position you're talking about. They are planted by the water, that sent out its root by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. You are not moved even when things are bad, right? You're not fearful when things are bad like they are now, but you're not fearful. Why? Because you are planted at this position of the waters. Its leaves are always green. Wow, that's a beautiful beautiful thing, child of God, that listen, your leaves will be green in the season of waiting, in between faith. Your leaves should be green. Can you imagine that? That listen, at this position, you have not attained it. You have not gotten what you prayed for, but already you look like you have gotten it. Your leaves are always green. When people look at you, you look like you have got it together, but you don't have it got together. You are still waiting, but you are looking like you've got it all together. And ultimately says that, and it has no worries in a year of drought and will never fail to bear its fruit. Ultimately, you will bear fruit because you are trusting in the Lord.
Sure, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
See, the thing about trusting God is that you are abandoning your own plans and you are asking God to go ahead with His own plans.
Wow.
You know, that requires strength.
Yeah.
That actually requires you to be at a place of surrender.
Wow.
Because it's quite frustrating to be in a place where you need to abandon logic.
Sure.
You need to abandon what looks real.
Yeah.
You need to abandon what you know and trust in a plan that you don't know.
Sure.
And trust in a God that you haven't, and just trust in something that is above and higher. That is a good place to be,
Sure.
but it could be quite scary.
Yeah.
But the Bible says that we need to trust in the Lord. It says when you set your eyes on Him, He grants you with perfect peace. You see, when you are relying on your own plan, it frustrates you. When you are working your own plan, you have anxieties, you panic.
Yeah.
It's your own bill, it's your own plans. Everything, your name is on it.
Sure.
But when it's God's plan, His name is on it.
Sure.
He's working it out for you, and so it removes the pressure from you. And so it's a lovely thing. Another thing to it is that it allows God to step in your circumstances. It allows God to be God in your circumstances.
Wow.
So in trusting God, you are saying, I'm letting go and I'm letting God.
So what are we saying to you today? We're saying that in the season of in between faith, right, you have got to be comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing.
And wait. And know that you have to wait on the Lord.
And the last thing is that you need to trust in God. Listen, if you're asking God to open a door, you better remove your hand from that door.
Yeah.
With that, I'm Pastor G.
And I'm Pastor T.
Keep it vertical.